Showing me shaking my head in my negative attitude feel after that Buffalo game where they all I can tell you is
Dolphins number 1, baby!
Next up, baby.
Dolphins
Next
number
up.
1!
I swear, if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, I got my beers ready. I'm going to crack it open.
Or is it the Serbian kid?
Serbia kid,
This looks done. Oh my god, it looks fantastic.
I hate you so much.
no, good beat, man. Not a beat, man.
Woo! I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right, now.
Congratulations.
Muy buenas noches, Miami. I know it's a little weird. There's a fast break on a Thursday. I had a late game situation. My game ran late yesterday. These fine gentlemen were so courteous to please wait for me another day to do the show. Like always, my main man, Clutch. What's up, buddy?
Situation? What are you, John Crotty? What's up, man?
That's the key word. What's up, bro? And my man from the West Coast, which is a little chilly, he tells me, Justin Garfield. What's up, bud?
Thanks for having me again. Sorry I was out last week. I was in another city on the West Coast for work. The team that lost their NBA team. The city that
Seattle.
lost their team.
Took the beanie.
Just about as far away from the 305 as you can get in the continental U.S.
Literally. I just got home. I just got home from one of our high school games, so I haven't been even watching. And obviously today we're going to discuss MVP. We'll talk some All-Star snubs. Current situation. I'll throw it to Clutch because he's been a little vocal, and we talked about it before the show, before we went on. I did see Kyle Lowry's a -20. I've always taken the plus minus with a grain of salt, depending how the team is performing. I understand some substitution patterns, whatnot, but this is a trend that we're starting to see with Kyle. I don't know. We heard what Perk said on ESPN about Kyle not seeing eye to eye. I don't know how far that goes. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll say it here. I don't think he's going to be moved in season. But, Clutch, you're seeing the game. So what have you seen today? What do you want to talk about, Kyle?
In the least analytical way possible, this guy has sucked today.
To the point.
Yeah. He's kind of like reverted back to doing what he's done when he struggles and just chucking up shots. And it just is not working. His defense, he's not even working on defense. He's just I don't like to believe I don't like to believe anything that Kendrick Perkins says. But this guy is, I don't know, he looks checked out, at least today.
It's this is insane to me because in season, even a few games ago, we wouldn't have talked about this. But do you prefer at this point? I'm gonna throw this out to Justin and you and Clutch. You give me a quick answer. Do you prefer, if you had the choice, you could only trade one? Lowry. Okay, hold on. You can trade two combinations. One person will be Lowry, and the other combo will be Denman and Robinson. You could only do one move A or move B. Who would you move, Clutch?
I mean, you're asking me now during a game when we're down 14 because of him, so I'll say Lowry, just in the heat of the moment.
In the heat of the moment, I got you. I won't hold you to it. Justin, who would you move? Lowry or the package of Denman and Robinson?
If we're talking the deadline, I think you could get some piece in return, and Lowry's leadership's still there for the playoffs. So I'll go with the Denman-Robinson package.
Okay, not bad. And it's funny because I know there were rumors, rumors about Clippers wanting a point guard, trying to trade for an established point guard. So Lowry's out there. So we're going to continue. If his play continues to struggle, we might continue to see these rumors coming up and about. But I'll stay on that topic, and I'll throw it to you, Justin. You had talked to me a little bit about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was an all-star snub today. A lot of people feel that he should have been selected. A lot of people believe, obviously, games missed. I understand that with coaches and all that. If you're missing certain games, your best ability is your availability. So you might get some points made. before we go into Jimmy Butler and his new following, my one All-Star snub is, I would say De'Aaron Fox. I really thought he was a lock to make the All-Star game this year, but that was just me. Justin, do you have any All-Star snub?
You got to look at James Harden. You know who James Harden is. Yeah. He's been an all-star pretty much every year in his career since he got to Houston. And now all of a sudden he's not one. But the East is pretty stacked. So this is giving us a good insight of the future. However, I still say my guy from Houston at one point in time should have been an all-star.
Okay. Clutch, your all-star snub?
As much as I
more than one, you can say it. I don't care.
Yeah. As much as I hate like giving him any praise because Dwayne Wade's better, obviously. James Harden kind of did get snubbed. He's been really good, and he's been impacting the way Joel Embiid plays for the better for the most of the season. So I'd say James Harden. You said De'Aaron Fox, which I agree with. He should have been an all-star.
Yeah.
A name that we haven't brought up yet. I think he's a snub considering who got selected. Pascal Siakam.
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
The team not being that good kind of worked against him there, but he's been good this season. Like him personally, he's been an all-star this season. So
yeah, you can argue he's kept them afloat, whatever afloat they are, because they're still drowning.
And I'll say, and just for the culture, I'll say Jimmy because he's better than a lot of the bums that got selected to the East.
He is, man. I figured the games missed were gonna play a toll, but I didn't think there was. There was no way in my mind that he wasn't gonna be selected. In my mind, because just when his play on the court alone, it shows his value. So before we go into value, and I'll segue there, I want to throw to Justin because he had an interesting point in regards to Jimmy, and we're on Jimmy's topic. And Jimmy seems to have some bandwagon fans now. So I'll kick it to you, Justin.
May not be an all-star in the NBA, but he is the number one all-star right now in the country of Argentina for what he did this past week. One of the best stories you'll probably see this whole season, maybe in the past couple seasons. These two kids came to the Miami Heat game all the way from Argentina just to see Jimmy play. They had their signs held up, and you see the viral video of the security guy coming up and saying, hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Jimmy's not playing. And they get all sad. That clip goes so viral. Everybody's probably tweeting at the Miami Heat during the game, and they make something really special happen. They get them on the court for pictures with the Heat. They get to throw up a few free throws, I think, during the halftime or whenever it happened. But then I believe it was a day later or so, they got to hang out with Jimmy Butler all day. He took them all around Miami, gets to shoot some hoops with him in practice before the game. And then they got to go see him play a real game too. So just goes to show you how great the Miami Heat organization is and how great of a person Jimmy Butler is. I know the media likes to give him some flack here and there, but Jimmy's our guy. We love him. Argentina loves Jimmy too.
And Jimmy, and even take him out to dinner. It's a class act in regards to, and you mentioned something. There's a lot of things that are overlooked because obviously we always get the bad rap. And even what I love about Jimmy, he said with the dreadlocks, because ESPN, this is the part, this really bothered me. ESPN, if you notice, they're kind of trolling Jimmy. They removed his dreadlock pictures, and they're putting this generic Jimmy picture like from the video game. So what he said is like, all right, cool, you're gonna do it. That's fine. After the All-Star break, I'm gonna bring the dreads back, and you're gonna have to put up my picture, which is all in good fun. And Jimmy, to me, I wouldn't say there's a person that fits his organization best in regards to persona, blue collar worker, starting from the bottom, literally. And he came just at the right time in that culture change. We were still the Heat culture, but we needed a little jolt. You know, we kind of became stagnant a little bit. And now you kind of seeing him. And as of late, there's been a lot of questions, even with Bam's comments. And I think it was overblown when they were talking about would you actively recruit for the franchise? And he even mentions like, I wouldn't push my agenda. And people automatically flipped it and try to put Jimmy with a Kyle Lowry. And the only reason Kyle Lowry got a contract because he's Jimmy's friend. We understand that. He was also a position of need, et cetera, et cetera. But what we're seeing is even with your realization with Jimmy, in regards to talking to Bam, Bam was an all-star, selected as an all-star today, rightfully so. And Hero, he was talking about their ascension and that they're going to keep growing every year. So eventually, Jimmy isn't going anywhere. This nucleus here with some fine tuning will get us to the promised land once again, depending on certain moves made. There might be some bigger moves in the offseason. There might be some tinkering trade deadline. We'll touch about that later. But before we go into that, midseason MVP race, straight up. You mentioned it to me, Justin, off air, in regards to Embiid dominating, losing a large lead the following game. The fluctuation of it's crazy because as a coach, you see these runs in these games and they're not justifiable. Sometimes they have no explanation. You can see your players lethargic or you can see your players exhausted. So you sub them out, you have different combos, but the way sometimes it's happened is like complete meltdowns. Like if actually a player gave it his all, has absolutely nothing left next game and just lays an egg. So MVP races is kind of insane to me where a lot of people have Jokic, where Jokic has a solid squad behind him. He's arguably still their most important player. A lot of people got Luka. Luka really has no help. If there's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a more active team in the deadline than the Mavs. Mavs have to make not even one, maybe 2 or 3 moves to actually, and I don't even know if it's possible in season. But before we go there, right now your MVP race, Justin, I'll kick it to you. Who is your top 2, top 3? What do you have working there?
If I'm thinking the voters' way of thinking of what they're probably thinking right now, I'd probably have to vote Luka. And that's not to say Jokic is not the MVP, because I would give my vote to him right now. But who do I think will win it? I'll go with Luka. They're not going to let Jokic win 3 in a row if LeBron never did. They're going to try and protect that kind of legacy, Jordan's legacy, all of that. Jokic is a fantastic player, but he hasn't accomplished the championship yet. Maybe that'll happen this year. I think they're going to go Luka.
Hey, can we make an argument? And Clutch, I'll give this one to you. Can we make an argument that Jokic is more important to his team than Luka is? When sometimes, obviously, MVP usually always translates to winning. But also there's value. Even teams that are 500, there's a way to identify the individual's value per team. And arguably, you can say out of any team in the NBA, Luka might be the most valuable player for their particular team. Do you agree with that, or how do you analyze that in the MVP race right now?
I think I'm gonna say that I think Jokic should be the MVP this year. I think Jokic is the most valuable player to their team in the entire NBA. I just think the Nuggets would massively fall off if Jokic takes 3 to 4 weeks off because of injury or whatever. Luka is right there. I mean, right before the season, I don't know if you remember, I picked Luka to win the MVP.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I think I get this LeBron stuff and the league pushing agendas like they always do, but I don't know how you say no to Jokic winning the MVP. I mean, Luka's been fantastic, but sometimes you got to see what Jokic's play and impact has translated to more wins than Luka's. And that's not Luka's fault. That's the organization, but winning should also matter, and how a player impacts winning should matter when you talk about MVP.
Oh, 100%. But my question, my argument there is, if you remove Jokic from the Nuggets and you remove Luka from the Mavs, who has a better season?
I mean, I think they'd both be pretty garbage. But
you think? Okay, for example, Denver's team. Aside from Jokic, who do you have? Porter Jr.,
Jamal Murray,
Gordon,
Porter Jr.,
Jamal
Aaron
Murray.
Gordon.
That's, you can argue maybe a playoff team if you remove Luka.
I think that's a play-in team. Talking 9 to 10 seed.
I always like doing this. And then, if, for example, I take Luka out of Dallas, what is Dallas? They're getting Victor Wembanyama.
I'd say they'd be the 11 seed, 10 seed at best.
I think they'd be right there with each other. I think the Nuggets would have the slight edge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they'd be right there. I'd say the Nuggets be like 9-10, and the Mavericks would be 11-12.
11-12. And now, based on that aspect, we're talking about teams, running mates. You can make the argument that this is the best 1-2 punch that Embiid has been a part of. Do you put Embiid in that conversation? The recent
Oh my
success of the
God,
Sixers.
Kyle Lowry just made I'm sorry, Kyle Lowry just made such a dumb play. Anyway, keep going.
The agenda's strong, my son.
Kyle Lowry in those early
my
years in
God.
Toronto. And then all of a sudden he remembered how to play basketball when Kawhi shows up.
Do you? And I'll give one to you, Justin, first. Or if you want, Clutch, I'll finish with you, and then I'll take it to Justin, so you can finish your point there. In regards to Embiid, arguably his best running mate, a more of a complete player that has made a habit, and I got to give it to James Harden's assists are way up again. Like James Harden's like the de facto point guard. Do you make a case for Embiid as an MVP?
You can. I think he'd be number 3 in the entire rankings. Okay. I think he'd be 3, but sometimes that James Harden additional help kind of works to his detriment a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, he's doing that much better. He's really good, but he got James Harden helping him. That's probably what the argument would be there. When you have guys like past MVPs like Giannis, Jokic, and who pretty much are the team, and the team goes as far as they do.
Exactly.
Well, I'll counter that for a second. We remember LeBron winning MVP on the Heat. We remember James Harden winning MVP with Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't always go that way, but I see where you're coming from. Let's just not put a blanket statement over that.
That's a very good point, because, and you have that's like, for example, saying Michael Jordan's MVPs, or like Shaquille O'Neal when he won MVP. There's pretty much, I can't remember the last time, maybe Giannis, an MVP without a bona fide star next to him, really. Who else really lately? It's become.
I mean, Jamal Murray was out all last year, so you could put Jokic in that category.
That's true. And he held that team up and took them in the playoffs. So he's your most complete player. You can arguably say right now offensively, and he's a decent rebounder. Now I'm not gonna say he's a plus defender. He's just big. He takes up space, but he's your most complete player. So he's an integral part of his team. I'll do the same thing. If I remove Embiid from the Sixers, you still got James Harden. I get you, but you're probably not going on this run, because Embiid arguably is one of the most versatile big men as well. So maybe not as good as a passer as Jokic, but he's definitely up there. So it's just interesting to me, man, because at the end of the day, I know the numbers always average out in season, and they were throwing out LeBron's name for MVP, which, yes, I understand he's carrying that team, but there's no way that LeBron should be in the MVP conversation. He's still playing, though, at an MVP type basketball, and you've seen it firsthand, Justin. It's how the performances that you do, he's still arguably the best player on the court at any given night. But like Clutch said, it always comes down to winning some way, somehow. So we'll leave all that there. One topic that I want to discuss with you guys, because I live it now almost day to day, the refereeing situation in the NBA. I have never seen. I mean, we understand that the referees basically control the game. You can control the flow. You can control runs. You can change the outcome of a game, of a season, and it's in your hands. Sometimes people might feel that it's too much power in their hands. There are late game situations that I understand that I wish to see some changes in regards to some late game calls. I do believe that we should have the possibility to review, not with a coach's challenge, an official review where you have in the NFL, if it's a touchdown, it's some sort of review late game situations, because you can make mistakes early in the game. You kind of discount that. I'm not one of those people that, he blew a call for me in the second quarter, I lost by 2, he lost me the game. No, you have a whole 2 other quarters to finish and correct those situations. But there has to be some sort of adaptation to the possibility. I don't know if it's going to be in the new CBA, but a lot of these games are decided late on referee errors. And that's something to me that is inexcusable. And I'll give you Clutch the floor first. Like I said, I see it firsthand. I see sometimes referee takes control of games. I got teed up 2 games ago as an assistant coach because I argued a call that was blatantly wrong. And they don't give you explanations anymore at times. They give you attitude. They try to control situations. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone. But sometimes referees do try to make the game about themselves, show their power. So do you have any idea? Because my idea was late game situation, automatic reviews on calls. I know they implemented the coaches challenge. You only have a few. So, yes, they're going to say, oh, the coach has the option to save it until the end. But what is your mindset in regards to the refereeing situation in the NBA right now? And in professional sports? Because even in the NFL, it's the same situation, same shit.
Yeah, the NFL's under fire big time this week, too.
That's like I'm now baseball. Before you respond, I used to talk about this for a very long time. I'm like, how can you have automatic, like the little box? How can we see it at home? And I can tell you if it's a strike or not. But you still have a game being decided by an ump that's behind the plate. So any breaking pitches, you can't really determine if it broke just in time, did it clear the plate? Why don't we have robotic umpires or robotic strike zones where you have an umpire still for the out, safe and out? That's fine. But MLB is starting to make moves in regards to that. There's going to be some minor league games that are played with those robotic umps to see if it's successful, if it speeds up the game even. So I'll throw it back to you. Refereeing across the board, you can give me anything, not only NBA. What do you do to change that situation late in games? Because we saw it. All of America saw it was a foul on LeBron against the Celtics. Mm-hmm. Yet the referees couldn't correct themselves. Because the referee goes back to see the replay, they're like, shit, that is a foul. So what do you do?
As for the NBA, like I kind of missed, like it wasn't a perfect system whatsoever, but I kind of miss what they used to do, where it was in the last 2 minutes, anybody can make a swirling motion and they would automatically review. I don't know if you guys remember that.
But you can ask for a review still, or no?
I mean, you can ask for the coach's review, but you can't ask
for a review.
Challenge. Yeah,
but you can ask. You can't ask for. Oh, damn, I gotta look that up.
No, I don't. I think they took that out a few years back.
Shit, that might be like the NFL with the measuring sticks. I didn't even know that, and now it makes sense. That now you can't even ask for a measurement. They won't do it.
The thing with LeBron's call specifically, it was if I remember correctly, it was a no call, so you kind of can't review it.
Exactly. Okay.
So
there has to be a call.
For that, I do think the referees need to be held accountable in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
As in, if there's no consequences for blowing calls, then they just keep doing what they're doing. They miss a few calls, whatever. But if there are consequences, if there are fines, maybe they sharpen up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I think for the NBA, at least that's the way I think it should go. I think for the NFL, it's kind of like it's so weird because it's such a game of football is such a game of inches and centimeters that everything can't be perfect. They try to go overboard with the refereeing stuff when a couple years ago when you could challenge the pass interference. Yeah. And they kind of went overboard with it because it just slowed the game down way too much and it'd be a bunch of problems. So for other sports, I really can't say much about it because especially with football when it's such a game of inches and centimeters where you have to like look at every angle and a lot of that. So I can't really speak for the NFL, but for the NBA, yeah, I think you can make some changes. And I want the league to look at that.
And to elaborate on what you said there, Clutch, Alex, did you want to go?
No. Just one topic. It's crazy how in the NBA we always, even as coaches, like you let the players play. So there's a lot of situations that you just rather not get a call and it go either way. But and then you start thinking of the magnitude, the teams, businesses. You have late game situations being decided by an arbiter that could be wrong and has no quality control. Like his word is final, no matter what. So I'll let you go, Justin.
Yeah, and kind of what you were saying there, Clutch. Going back to when you could review pass interference calls, we all remember that was a knee-jerk reaction to an egregious no call that happened in the NFC Championship game against the New Orleans Saints and Los Angeles Rams in 2019.
Yes.
And that was in place for a total of 1 year. And I think out of all maybe 20, 30 times the coach challenged it, I think 3 or 4 actually got overturned. So clearly something was not working and they took out that challenge ability. But I think here we're going to see something similar from the NBA. This is something that everybody saw in a primetime game on a Saturday night. I was at a bar watching with my Laker friends, and they're all complaining like there's no tomorrow. And for the first time, I'm like, you know what? I'm with you. You got robbed. This is something that the NBA has got to take a look at. And if they have to take a knee-jerk reaction response, then so be it. Try it for a season. If it doesn't work, like the NFL did, they'll just toss it, throw it away. And maybe that is review something no matter what, if it's a questionable call or whatnot.
And that's now that we're there, I remember part of the reason that it drew my attention was LeBron's reaction, because LeBron doesn't have he's not a whiner at times. He's a complainer. I know he's had that where he complains at times and all that. But that reaction alone is frustration at a culmination of multiple times that this has happened, multiple incidents where it cost you. That basically cost you a game. Like that game wasn't decided by the players. That game was decided by the referee. Because then you can tell me if you go into overtime. Those are one of the games you hate as a coach, because you know that no matter how you can tell a player to just remove it, let it go. You're 0-0. It's overtime. Bullshit. You carry it over, and it's in the back of their mind. They're like, we should have been in the free throw line. We had the opportunity to win this game. There was 0 seconds on the clock. We should have been shooting 2 free throws, and it stays with you, and it derails your game. And that in every sport, I've always been a fan of, even like I said, MLB, NFL. There has to be a way to quality control your referee. You get me? That's like, there's no way. I mean, everything in life that we do is kind of that. Even with police officers, if you get pulled over, it's up to their discretion. You really can't go back and forth. Obviously, video evidence, things of that nature. But every situation in life is kind of that. It's like a give or take. You get me? But when you have high stakes sports, how do you really control, especially with the NBA, what's in Donaghy? When you have a situation where the referee can control the point spread, a referee can control the outcome of situations, and how do you really police that? Like, there is no way, shape, or form that you can police a family member of said referee. You can kind of see the record, and that speaks for itself, because that's very telling. Certain referees have certain records with certain teams when they referee that. So NBA has to be, because everybody's taken into account. So NBA has to be monitoring that some way, somehow. But I'll be interested to see, very surprised, if there's not in the new CBA, if there's no provision in regards to late game situations. Because honestly, the biggest slap to me in the face, Clutch, and just is when they do the 2-minute report, the L2M, last 2-minute report, where they basically, the NBA comes out and says, yeah, we did this wrong. We did this wrong. We got this call wrong. That team won, but they should have been in the free throw line because we made a mistake. That doesn't change anything. You're just telling me you're admitting to a mistake. I already saw you make the mistake. I was there. So what are we going to do about it? How can we change that? Can it be in person? My point is that. Why can't we do a last 2-minute report? Why can't we do a live report? If there's any dispute that any coach brings up, not only a coach's challenge, but if a dispute comes up, we can have an arbitrator that takes a look back and says it. But it does come down, and it slows the game down. It takes people off their runs. People are going to start using it just on purpose to create. They're out of timeouts. They're like, oh, I dispute this call. And they're going to start using that to gain basically a timeout. So those are a lot of situations that I see happening. So that is true. We're at the 30-minute mark, so we're going to keep it short. But before we go, well, first and foremost, thank you to all our listeners here at Fins Talk Network, Fins Talk Sports Network, sorry. This is Fast Break on a Thursday, not a regular day. My two gracious co-hosts were able to wait for me another day so I can make it on time this time. a little bit later than usual, but we're here. Trade deadline, I believe, is 2 weeks. 2 weeks away. Is it the 14th, 15th? It can't be
No,
Wednesday.
it's the 9th.
Is the 9th?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Holy
It's-
how did I have a brain for?
It's exactly a week from today. Yeah.
Holy crap! How did I think it was another week? Damn, man.
It
I'm
is another week.
sorry, but I'm just exhausted, bro. We've had 4 games this week. I'm drained. All right, even better. So oh man, I'm triggered. Actually, why don't we do the show next week, Thursday instead of Wednesday? You guys want to do that? I'm doing an on-air scheduling here. Is that cool with you, Justin? You want to do it next Thursday?
Sure. I believe the trade deadline is about like 2 p.m. or something Eastern time. Remind me again.
So
It's-
yeah, three. I think it's 3 or 4. It's 3 p.m. Eastern time, because NBA offices are in New York.
Right. Okay. Let's do it.
So, all right, cool. Clutch, you good for Thursday?
Yeah, we could do that. So basically, immediate reaction to whatever does or does not happen.
That'll be cool. So you heard it here live. Next Thursday, we'll do a live reaction to what the Heat didn't do, shocking moves. But since we won't be on for another week, right now, I know there's some rumors, names being thrown around. Zach LaVine is back there. They're talking, having conversations. There's always one shock move that's going to happen. Clutch, do you have anything in mind right now? You can tell me Heat related first, and then NBA, how you see the landscape. But anything right now that you see moving the needle?
I don't know how realistic it. Huh?
I thought you were just gonna respond. Kyle Lowry sucks.
Oh. Well, for non-Heat stuff, I don't know how realistic it is, but let's just have fun a little bit. I think Pascal Siakam will be on the Mavericks.
Holy shit!
Okay, dropping some bombs here.
Okay.
Yeah. As for the Heat, I'm starting to think we should temper our expectations a little bit. As the way I'm seeing things unfold for this trade deadline, especially after an article, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, from Barry Jackson, that he said the Heat might be looking to trade just Dwayne Dedmon to make room for 2 roster spots instead of 1.
Yeah.
To basically shed that, to trade for another player and then have enough to have a standard contract available now instead of later. And I think that might be the route they go. I think the Heat do make a trade, but I just don't think right now. It might change later. I don't think it might be as impactful as people want it to be.
Okay. And before I go to you, Justin, I concur with that part. And I'm not sticking up for the owner. I'm not doing anything. But the luxury tax situation, once again, I'll repeat it. We are going to be a tax team starting next year. So what they're trying to do is, if you're still competitive, if there's a move that they're going to make that they have to go over the luxury tax, I'm sure they will. They're trying to avoid it at all costs, because you don't want to start that repeaters tax. You don't want to start the timeline on a wasted season per se, if you can compete with the roster that you have. But Omer's coming back. I do believe that they will move. I still say I'm doubtful. Maybe they're gonna try to move Robinson. Dedmon for sure is gone. I would be surprised. If Lowry is moved in season. Very surprised. But I won't discount it, because at this point, if this continues and you're kind of seeing Kyle's playing less the fourth quarter, that's always Spo sending a message and just going with his guys. And we didn't have Vic today. We saw that. We're seeing that. Vic wasn't going to play today. So you've seen it, Clutch. I haven't seen the game. You might see the effects of that, of not having Vic there. But I would be surprised if he's moved. But for sure, I do believe next show, Dedmon is no longer in the team. And that one of those standard contracts, if you shed salary, because you can still trade Robinson and Dedmon, still acquire less, so you have enough space to sign maybe even 2 standard contracts, where you're talking about Jamal Cain and Orlando Robinson. So, because Orlando Robinson's time is coming up, so they might switch over his contract to standard, and maybe Jamal Cain later in the season as well. And I was gonna say this before I go, Justin's last one. Highsmith, I thought that they were moving. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him, because he's kind of giving some good rotational pieces, kind of depth. But if it's to bring another player, they'll be moved because I know the Heat. They're talking about Finney Smith. I know they're looking at Vanderbilt in Utah, Kelly Olynyk. Those are kind of like they're already. Detroit already said they're going to move Bogdanovich. I don't know if they're doing that, to create more leverage. Now the name I'll throw out there, Justin, I'll kick it to you. OG from Toronto. He's going to be in a different team. I'm not going to say he's not going to move. I believe he will be moved. It's just a bidding war right now. And don't discount the Heat. They will be involved in those talks as well. So I'll give it to you, Justin. Go ahead.
OG is a good pick. He could be a good pickup for any team. I could see him going to Dallas, helping Luka out, if it all comes down to that. I know you had Pascal Siakam clutch going to Dallas, but what about OG? He could make a big difference there as well.
OG?
Yeah. As far as league-wide, I'm thinking keep your eyes on a player like Kyle Kuzma going to the Heat or going somewhere where he can make an impact on a contending team. And I'd say the same for Eric Gordon. I think his days in Houston are about numbered. He could go help a team come back. And what if the Heat were able to get him for a package, say, of Duncan Robinson, or if they do decide to part with Kyle Lowry, he could go to Houston and then they could buy him out and he ends up on the Clippers on a veteran minimum. How about that?
That wouldn't. And the most with Kyle Lowry, I'll throw two situations out there. Minnesota one, I think is unrealistic. I think they don't want to trade D'Angelo Russell, but they might be forced to if he told them already that, and he already expressed, I will not resign here, trade me because you're going to lose me for nothing. You'll see the move. But I do believe the Clippers might be viable with Kyle, where you got Morris, Reggie Jackson, or maybe John Wall, Luke Kennard. So you can make the salaries work if that happens. But one thing that I want to throw out there before we go. This is gonna sound crazy, but I think Westbrook ends the season as a Laker. I don't think they're gonna be able to move because the asking price to move to take on that contract, unless it's something, because I heard rumors with Zach LaVine going to Chicago, going to LA. But if I'm Chicago, yeah, those 2 first-round picks are nice. Okay, but why? What package am I getting for Zach LaVine? If Rudy Gobert got traded for 5 first-round picks, why am I going to settle for 2 first-round picks and you're not even sending me any rotational player back? It would take probably like a 2 or 3 team deal. But is any other sharp players that you think that have been rumored to be moved that will stay with their teams? Clutch?
That will stay with their team.
Yeah.
John
rumored
Collins.
to be moved but end up staying in their team. I mean, OG will be the biggest shocker.
John Collins.
To me. John Collins? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you saw that Atlanta Lord is they started going back to earth. You saw that, right?
If that's a true report and they are actually considering less, then I think Miami can make a move.
Yeah.
Because I mean, John Collins is also a good story because he's a South Florida kid.
Yes,
so
sir.
Be a homecoming. Yeah. It'd be good. If the story is true, then I would hope Miami makes at least a play for it.
Yeah.
And since we're talking real quick.
Yeah,
an interesting one, since we already kind of talked about OG. An interesting spot for him, Memphis.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude.
That would be really good, and I would think that would put Memphis in conference finals territory.
They were talking about it, and I completely agree with you. That could be the missing piece. They were talking about today how the Pelicans and Memphis are kind of gonna outbid each other for his services. Because Pelicans have lost 9 straight. They need, out of all the teams aside from Dallas, the Pelicans need to make a move just to jolt something there. And honestly, at this point, going back to Kyle, I'm not one of those people that just like, for example, I know the statement we're joking about, like, bro, he just sucks. A lot of people say that, and then he comes the next game and he hits a clutch 3 or gets your offensive emotion. It makes a good defensive stop, and people are like, oh, you see, Kyle is new, blah blah blah. I don't want to make a move just to make a move. But if there's a chance to shed the contract and improve yourself, because if that's the thing with those bigger contracts, next year he's an expiring contract. This year, it's this year and the following. So you have to take back on money and probably longer contracts, which is like the John Collins situation. Atlanta, you're the GM. You have to now balance. I'm like, look, he signed for 5 years. If he's not going to be part of my nucleus, if I could get rid of him, even if I overpay or get less assets, that's how it works. That's the asset business. You're taking on a contract that I no longer want, like us with Duncan Robinson. We're going to have to give up some assets for people to take on Duncan's contract or take on the opposing team's shitty contract. Maybe that's a year less or some sort of negotiation with that. So a lot of people get confused with the situations and the first round picks, and like you have to understand the value that you have in your players. Like for example, a Caleb Martin. There's a lot of value in that contract. So Caleb Martin, if you trade him, he might get you in return bigger assets than trading Kyle Lowry. Oh, but Kyle Lowry's he could be a Hall of Fame player, but it's just the value in his and the way he's playing, And I don't know, man. It's gonna be a crazy amount of weeks, and I don't see anything happening in the weekend. Obviously the rumors are gonna start kicking. You might see a few moves before the actual trade deadline, but this seems to be like the teams are gonna be milking it more than usual because before, and we've talked about this on many episodes, there's a clear cut, maybe 3 or 4 teams per conference. This is the first time I've seen in a while. I want to say maybe in 10, 15 years that there's possibly 8 teams that are okay in each conference, and they are playing to win. So it's going to be very interesting, and I do believe the majority of the deals will be trade deadline with a few hours left, and people are just like, okay, final offers, submit your final offers, and let's go. We'll just pick one. Submit it to the NBA, approved, perfect. There you go. So it's going to be interesting, and we'll be here live to have your reactions from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. So, my man, Justin, like always, thank you. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for being in with us today. Any final words for you?
I'm taking bets. When is LeBron passing Kareem? Is it going to be next game of the Pelicans or is it going to be against the Thunder here in LA next week?
Where is he at now? How many points away is he?
Well, before tonight's game, he was at 89. I'm not sure how many he has at this very moment as the Pacers are playing the Lakers right now.
I think no matter what, he'll milk it, and he'll do it at home against the Thunder.
Clutch?
I think he'll do it against the Thunder. I think that's the most likely.
Yeah. Kareem will be there, passing of the torch. They'll stop the game. It's a historical moment. Like we weren't alive when this happened.
Or they have the Bucks too, right?
Time.
The Bucks is the next game, so I think it's going to happen during the Bucks game.
I mean, Kareem's old team.
True.
Kareem was on the Bucks.
Oh man,
he was also on the Lakers.
Who does he play tonight?
They're playing the Pacers right now. Pelicans next, and then Thunder, and then Bucks.
If he scores 30 or like 35, I wouldn't doubt that he rests against the Pelicans, just to make sure. Or they'll kind of have unlimited. I mean, I would do it, honestly. I know you're trying to win these games. I get it. But there's a significant to me. If
26.
the game's out of, I mean.
He has 26 today.
He has 26 already?
And the game's over. No, the game's over.
Oh, the game's over. So he's 63 points away.
So that could happen any day now, realistically.
Oh, my God. This is historical. And I don't see that now we're there. I don't see this being broken. One person that I thought maybe I can get there was Steph Curry. And one of my players told me I think Steph is 13th in scoring or 14th in scoring all time. So I don't think Luka might have a shot if he continues to score 35 a game for many seasons. But longevity, I don't think people are going to get to LeBron's scoring record.
Is nowhere near that. He's 44th right now.
He's 44th?
He's missed a lot of time with injury in his career, you have to remember.
Yeah, those ankle injuries.
That's the thing, man. And there's really, I don't think there's any player in the NBA right now that could reach that scoring title to LeBron. I think we might see it again for another 30 plus years before it's broken. That's insane. We're witnessing history. This has been 2 decades of dominance and peak dominance. I don't think an athlete, maybe you can argue for Tom Brady, but I don't really think an athlete in the sport, being the pinnacle of the sport, has aged so gracefully. I mean hockey. In hockey, or was it Bobby Hall, or that he played until he was like 60-something? He was still a decent player. But
in all the sports, it's probably what LeBron and Brady, right?
Yeah. And Brady's
aging in the sport now. Yeah.
And Brady just finally showed his age, but he's what? He was 46, 45.
46, 45. But obviously what they both have in common, how they invested in their bodies. And LeBron picked that up after he left Miami, here in Miami, about the nutrition, taking care of. Once you reach a certain age, is longevity. If you want to play a productive career, especially a sport like that, where you can argue they're the 2 toughest contact sports. I mean, well, rugby, but they're the two toughest contact sports. So that's a wear and tear on your body on a day-to-day basis. In basketball. And in football, obviously, is in basketball, you don't have 350-pound men going at you deliberately to knock your head off. You know, there's inadvertent contact. Basketball is more joint injuries, obviously ankle, knees, back issues. And football, just, you know, brain. So, but it's going to be interesting. But Clutch, I always, our tradition. And then with you, any final words, my brother?
Well, no, but yeah, you got just a little tiny rant about our fine owner Mickey Arison.
Okay.
How I don't know if you guys caught the tweet about him congratulating Bam for the All-Star selection.
No. What'd he say?
No. He said congrats Bam or whatever, and he tagged some K-pop star from all the way over there instead of Bam. So good job.
Ain't got time for Twitter, Clutch.
Man, that is one thing I never understood. That when you're gonna tag someone, how don't you like confirm? Him. It's funny, even starting our group chats, I confirm. I'm like, wait, is this Justin? Did I type the wrong one? Like, how do people just do that? Especially one of your players.
Come on, Mickey, that's your franchise player.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, you follow him. He generates. When you're going to type something, his name generates as an option. There's a check mark right next to it. That's
unless he's a really big K-pop fan.
Yeah. Do you see Mickey as a one-finger typer or holding your phone and typing with both fingers, both thumbs?
He has the glasses down to his nose. He's really like with one finger.
And he's holding. I'll recreate it. He's like this, and he's just like, there we go, bam. Okay. Oh no, that's not that bam. Let me go back. It's like,
oh, Mickey, you're so wrong. You're so wrong. I threw my phone. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey.
On that note, from Miami all the way to the West Coast, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. For Justin, Clutch, Alex, yours truly. Have a great night, Miami. The next time we see you, the NBA is going to look a little differently. So stay safe. Much love.